The emotion spectrum, when we do emotion work, we do shadow work, it tends to sort of function on two levels, give or take. And there's a sort of, I'll say superficial, although it's not really superficial, but a much more accessible level of emotion that many of us have worked through yeah, in this process. And you kind of, in a sense, have to at some point. You just can't not feel what, the sadness and grief and all these things. And a lot of times that can clear out quite a bit. And interestingly, I think probably in everyone to some degree, but in some people, it's much more dramatic and marked that there's a much deeper layer down there of some kind of emotion tone. And it's easy to overlook it, actually. And it can be, because we get to a place where we feel more calm, we feel more relaxed, at peace. We can usually lead ourselves into a kind of meditative state pretty easily. Nothing's really that heavy going on in life, and now, and we've calmed down a lot. And you can kind of come to a bit of a plateau. Sometimes it could even be called a spiritual desert or something, where you don't really the motivation that used to drive the spiritual movement. The motivation itself is gone because it was kind of egoic in the beginning, and now it's like, okay, well, if that's not the motivation, what is anymore? Like, I have some curiosity, but it only goes so far. Consider really trying to reach farther down and seeing if there isn't something else down there. And this could lead you back into childhood or something. I don't know where it will lead you. It's different for everyone, but I can feel a quiet mind. I can feel a calm mind, but it doesn't feel deeply peaceful. So whenever you feel like doing this, when you're meditating or just sitting quietly without distraction, you could ask yourself, what would have to be the case for me right now? What would the conditions have to be so that I wasn't seeking deep peace? Or so that I already felt deeply peaceful. But more properly, it's actually so that I wouldn't seek deep peace. What would have to be the case right now in my life? What would have to physically be here for me? And again, you can ask that of the child within you. With any stage of development in your life could have triggered something with this. What would have to be the case where I would feel so settled that I would not need, and that's it, right? So you can feel what it is. It's there. And that's your access point. That's your access point. And just keep feeling into it. And it will be very raw. It just will be. It'll be a very raw, very, very unguarded emotion. But this is okay to go here. It is. And many people have. And often this really breaks things open to a deeper stages of realization. It can take time to do this. You may have to sit with it for a couple of days without even thinking about it, but just keep asking that question. What would actually have to be the case for me right now? What would have to be here? Christiane Meckelberger, she writes some really nice posts, and she talked about doing this exact process at one point with herself. She's a retired psychiatrist. She was a psychoanalyst. So she had done thousands of hours of psychoanalysis on herself even, and had all this therapy. And she said, even after all those years, it wasn't until deep stage realization that she started to come in contact with this really, really deep abandonment thing. And it had to do with her story and stuff. Anyway, she has posts about this, but it's a simple thing. Gangaji also talks about an approach to this. It can be as simple as, what is actually happening? What belief is operating in the background? Well, the belief is the mind is quiet. I don't really know what to do. I don't have a lot of interest. And yet I don't feel deeply peaceful. That's the clue. Okay, well, if I don't feel deeply peaceful, what would have to be the case right now? What would have to be here so that I wasn't seeking peace because I felt so completely settled? Right? Follow it down and it'll show you what you need to see. Just take time with that. It might take some time, it may take a couple months touching in here and there, and it'll come. But this can be the thing that really opens up a deeper dimension of feeling, experience, and really interconnection with your environment.